What's going on, Diesel family? Welcome back to Young Diesel Trucking Reacts. I need to talk to you about something massive that just dropped from the Department of Transportation. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard about this, I thought it was too good to be true. 9 new initiatives. 9. That could completely change how we operate out here on the road. But here's the thing that's got me on edge. We've been burned before by promises from Washington. So the question is this the real deal or just another political smokescreen? Stay with me because what I'm about to show you could impact every single mile you drive. Look, I've been in this game long enough to know that when the government says they're here to help truckers, we better keep our guard up. But this announcement, this one's different. And I'll tell you why. The Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association just released their breakdown of these 9 initiatives. And guys, some of this stuff is what we've been fighting for years. But before we get excited, let's dig into the details because the devil is always in the details. Because if this is legit, it could be the biggest win for independent truckers in decades. But if it's not, well, we need to know that too. All right, let's start with the big one. Truck parking. And this is where I got my first hint that maybe, just maybe, they're actually listening to us. They're talking about increased funding for parking grants, not just talking about it, actual money being allocated. Now, I've seen promises before, but here's what's got me cautiously optimistic. The OIDA says this could be a catalyst for further improvements. That's code for this might actually work. But here's what worries me. We all know how slow government funding moves. The question is, will this money actually hit the ground or will it get tied up in red tape for the next 5 years? But here's where things get really interesting. Remember that speed limiter mandate that had all of us ready to march on Washington? The one that would have forced us to govern our trucks whether we wanted to or not? It's gone. Permanently dismissed. And I gotta tell you, when I first read this, I had to read it 3 times because I couldn't believe it. Now, this is huge because it shows they actually listened to us when we said this was unsafe. When we said we know highway safety better than some bureaucrat in an office who's never driven an 80,000-pound rig through a construction zone. But here's what's got me thinking. Why now? What changed? Because just 6 months ago, this mandate seemed inevitable. Something shifted and I want to know what. Now we get to hours of service, and this is where it gets complicated. They're talking about pilot programs, split sleeper berth options, giving U.S. control over the adverse conditions exception. On paper, this sounds amazing. More flexibility, more driver control. But here's where my spider senses start tingling. The OIDA is worried about potential misuse by shippers and receivers. And guys, you know what that means? It means they're going to try to twist this flexibility against us. Oh, you can split your sleeper time? Great. That means you can take this load that requires 14 hours of driving in a day. So while this could be great for us, we need to watch this like hawks to make sure it doesn't get weaponized against us. Let's talk about brokers for a minute. We all got stories, right? Loads that don't pay, rates that get cut after delivery, brokers who disappear when it's time to settle up. Well, they're overhauling the complaint database, making it easier to file complaints against property brokers, better staffing for handling complaints. This could actually give us some teeth when dealing with bad actors. But here's what I'm wondering. Will this actually have consequences? Because filing a complaint is one thing. Getting results is something else entirely. We'll see if this new system has any real bite or if it's just another way to make us feel heard while nothing actually changes. Double brokering. The practice where your load gets passed around like a hot potato and nobody wants to pay you. They say they're focusing on combating this, and honestly, it's about time. This has been screwing over owner-operators and small carriers for years. But again, enforcement is key. Are they actually going to go after these bad actors, or is this just lip service? Now, they're also maintaining the ELD exemption for pre-2000 trucks. And look, I know some of you are running older equipment, and this keeps you from having to spend thousands on compliance for trucks that might not even be worth it. This shows they understand that not every regulation fits every situation. It's common sense policy, which makes me wonder, who are these people and what did they do with the real dot? Here's what really gets me thinking though. The OIDA has been all over this, working behind the scenes, pushing for these changes, and their involvement tells me this might actually be legit because these guys don't mess around. They don't put their name on something unless they believe it's real. But they're also saying they'll be monitoring implementation closely. That tells me they're cautiously optimistic too. So here's where we stand, Diesel family. On paper, these 9 initiatives look like the biggest win for truckers in years. Truck parking funding, no speed limiter mandate, HOS flexibility, better broker accountability, double brokering enforcement, ELD exemptions maintained. That's a lot of wins. Maybe too many wins. And that's what's got me both excited and nervous. Because in my experience, when the government promises everything we want, there's usually a catch. Maybe it's buried in the implementation. Maybe it's in the fine print. Maybe it's in the budget allocations. But here's what I do know. The OIDA is watching. We're watching. And if these promises turn out to be empty, we'll know about it real quick. Look, I want to be optimistic here. I want to believe that someone in Washington finally gets it, that they understand we're not asking for handouts. We're asking for common sense regulations that actually improve safety instead of just checking boxes. If these initiatives actually get implemented the way they're described, it could mean safer roads, better working conditions, and more respect for what we do out here. But we can't just sit back and hope. We need to stay engaged, stay informed, and hold them accountable. So here's what I need from you, Diesel family. First, let me know in the comments. Are you buying this? Are you optimistic, skeptical, or somewhere in between? Second, if you want to stay on top of how these initiatives actually play out, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell because I'll be following this story as it develops. And third, the OIDA mentioned contacting lawmakers to support these changes. If you believe in these initiatives, don't just hope, take action. Links in the description. Thanks for watching, Diesel family. Keep the shiny side up, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there.